In 2006, roommates Brandon Beck and Mark Merrill, business students at the University of Southern California, saw a huge business opportunity in the games industry and decided that they wanted to capitalize on it. What they saw was that most developers were focusing on making games that spoke for themselves and charging an upfront price for ownership of a copy of the game. However, these companies were not maximizing the profits that existed in the games industry, and they saw a gap that needed to be filled. What they saw was that gamers would fall in love with the game, play it for a while, and then once they had seen all the content, or the game got stale, they would stop playing and move on to the next game. So to solve this, Brandon and Mark came up with the idea of a free game, inspired by the likes of Defense of the Ancients, which would make all of its money and establish all of its popularity and relevance through never-ending updates, support, content, and relatability on behalf of the company. They pitched this to family, friends, and investors, raising $1.5 million to start the company, Riot Games. And that game became League of Legends, released in 2009. They then received a further $8 million from Benchmark Venture Capital, First Mark Capital, and future parent company Tencent Holdings. In 2010, Riot moved their European headquarters to Dublin, Ireland, to take over distribution of League in Europe. In 2011, Tencent invested $400 million into Riot for 93% ownership, and in 2015, they bought the remaining 7% for an undisclosed amount. In 2016, League of Legends had 100 million active players. Yeah, you heard that right. 100 million active players. To put that number in perspective, Minecraft's average active player base has been 70 million, with its peak being 131 million in 2020. GTA 5 had 360,000, peaking in 2015, and World of Warcraft reached 120 million this year. So how is this possible? How did two business students make one of the most popular games of all time? Well, it's what I mentioned earlier. Staying relatable to the players through constant blog posts, video updates, and content updates. They've been doing it since 2009, and to this day, they still do it in both League and Valorant. Since 2015, they've released a self-admitted auto chess clone, digital card collection game, a hero attack shooter, an animated cartoon, a mobile version of League, music albums, and they've announced a fighting game, an esports team manager game, an action RPG hack and slash, and an MMORPG. In addition, they have 2 tabletop games and have purchased Hypixel Studios, Wargaming Sydney, and Radiant Entertainment. Riot Devs, if you're watching this, please release Hytale. So, why is Riot branching out like this? Why did they make a show, music, and are planning to make games in seemingly every genre of gaming? I think that Riot wants to become a media giant, an entertainment conglomerate, spanning beyond games. They saw that they had the formula to dominate the gaming industry, and simply its relatability and marketing that doesn't feel corporate. Who's to say that this wouldn't work in the rest of the entertainment industry? I think they're right. People don't particularly like companies. They like connecting with other human beings, or at least feeling a human connection. I hope that other companies can start actually emulating Riot in these ways. So many multiplayer games die and fade into irrelevancy because the devs didn't listen to their players, and they stopped releasing content too soon. Some of the games that I enjoyed the most died this or similar deaths. Nosgoth was shut down because nobody at Psyonix wanted to monetize skins, characters, variations, etc. Rainbow Six is all but dead because they didn't keep it fresh enough. Battlefront 2 died because DICE pivoted and focused on the absolute garbage fires of BF5 and BF 2042 instead of continuing to release new skins, maps, abilities, modes, any content at all. They could have monetized BF2 so much more, and they just left it to die. Can you believe that there are no characters from Mandalorian, Bad Batch, or Visions in Battlefront 2? Now here's the other side of this. Riot is the reason that battle passes are commonplace in every modern game. Some people are less fans of this than others. In the eyes of many, this has ruined the gaming industry. Let me address this in a few points. The most common objection is that The new game model has turned game companies into machines that exploit addicted gamers by showing them new skins all the time or having loot box mechanics. And I somewhat agree with this point. However, another way to look at it is that it's a way to make small updates to the game, bring in money for the studio, so that they can then release big free updates, like new characters, maps, and game modes. This is what Riot has done. This is what Riot does. So far, the only other games who have done this that I can think of are kind of Overwatch, League, World of Warcraft, Dota, Valorant, Fortnite, Rocket League, kind of, a little bit, and some people might argue Battlefront 2, maybe Minecraft. I'd also include Apex and Destiny and Warframe in that list. Battlefront 2 messed up with loot boxes and things being locked behind insane amounts of playtime, which obviously I cannot support. And Minecraft doesn't really count because the updates are slow, and the things that Microsoft charges for are things that you could have just done for free otherwise in the Java version. So and then there's the more nefarious side of microtransaction culture, which is when companies release no updates, implement pay to win, and even put unskippable ads in the game you paid $60 for. Glaring at you, NBA 2K. Obviously, I don't support that. So Riot has done gaming well, and apparently they did Arcane well. I haven't watched it yet. I do intend to, but I know that a lot of people are big fans of it, especially League fans. I think Riot Games are geniuses and have done a lot for gamers and for the gaming industry. The only problem is that they did it all from a business mindset. And it just so happens that the smartest business move in the gaming industry was to align themselves with the interest of gamers. Who would have thought? Making gamers happy and giving them what they want is good business. I think that this business-minded approach has worked for a while and will be good for everyone going into the near future. However, it does worry me a little bit. Riot will eventually have a wide wingspan over competitive gaming across all genres. Obviously, they're already dominant in the esports space when it comes to League with the Worlds event, and with VCT being one of the biggest esports events in the world as far as I know, and that's their Champions Tour for Valorant. We know about the fighting game, the MMORPG, and the RPG hack and slash action game. I think they will eventually have a Rocket League type game, a sports game, probably a mainstream type shooter, and a battle royale. I think that they will essentially establish a monopoly over all of esports, much of online gaming, and all the while they will stay consistent and relatable. If they succeed in doing this, I can absolutely see them branching out into movies and TV more, for example. Perhaps even becoming a massive household name multimedia conglomerate like Nintendo or Disney. So, is Riot Games evil? They're certainly a genius. Do you think that they want control over the gaming industry? And do you think that anyone else will start doing what Riot does as well as they do it? I think that Riot is unique, and I think that people will continue to fail to do what they do. And I think part of that is because when other companies have tried to be relatable like Riot, it kind of falls flat on its face. And I think it's because it sounds a little too corporate coming from other people. It's like the other companies, the other developers see the Riot Games videos and blogs, and they go, oh, look at how relatable that is. Let's try to be like that. And then they end up trying to, from a corporate standpoint, emulate the relatable content from the Riot developers, and then it just feels very contrived and still ends up feeling corporate. So ultimately, I don't think anybody is going to outpace Riot or stop them from becoming as big as they're going to become. I think that Tencent will inevitably pass Sony as the biggest gaming company in the world, and I think it is going to be 90% due to Riot Games and their growth. Ultimately, I can't wait to see what the future holds for Riot Games. As much as I'm hesitant about what direction they might go or how benevolent they may or may not be, but I'm still excited to see what they bring to the gaming industry, what other new IPs they create, just how many genres they make games in, and how dominant Valorant and League of Legends stay for decades to come. If you like this video, subscribe and hit the bell so that you see my next upload about how Activision ruined a $60 billion legacy. And check out this video on video game tutorials.